Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Adicia Burton. In the headlines, Dominica Fire Department advances emergency response. PISLM hosts national consultation for sustainable land management project. And finals of DBS radio reading competition to be held on Tuesday. The details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. The Dominica Fire and Ambulance Service, in collaboration with the Global Emergency Medicine Strengthening, Global EMS, has hosted a Train the Trainers workshop aimed at strengthening fire officers' response to trauma and resuscitation. The Dominica Fire instructors will undergo a 10-day workshop, which will be followed by a 2-day training where the newly trained instructors will direct other fire officers. Global EMS is an NGO that looks to strengthen response for medical emergencies in the day-to-day practices. Deputy Fire Chief Mr. Wayne Leta believes this training will advance the care and response provided by the officers.
That training is very useful to the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Services as it upgrades, or we could say better, the work that we do in our ambulance and emergency response in relation to trauma and medical response.
Just halfway into the year, the Fire and Ambulance Service has recorded 45 incidents where its intervention was needed.
This program actually helps us carry out our duties even better. And the increase in motor vehicle accident is one of the data that has driven towards this type of program that we have.
Global EMS has committed to the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 3, which is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. This encompasses the goal to strengthen the capacity of all countries, in particular developing countries, for early warning, risk reduction, and management of national and global health risks.
We develop training on skills for trauma resuscitation, for example, for stop the bleeding in severe motor vehicle accidents. Also, we provide training on adult resuscitation and infant resuscitation and cardiac arrest. And we provide training for birth attendants, as we identified also imminent birth as a common and frequent emergency, and every ambulance crew member needs to have knowledge.
St. Lucia Fire Service EMS instructor and co-director of GEMS, Mr. Irenaeus Henry, is confident that this training will benefit the entire country.
When the program culminates, we're going to have prepared a 2-day workshop that the Dominicans will run and will continue to run until not only the fire service is trained, but they can go outside and do members of NEMO, members of Red Cross, and they can extend to make the island more efficient and more effective in their response. Maybe in the future, even members of Dominica Fire Service may be pulled into the GEMS family. Already we have members of the Dominica Fire Service who are very competent, both male and female, because GEMS is high on gender equity. So we ensure that there is an equal the dynamics we have equal in the number of males and females. We don't just do males only, but we ensure that we have gender equity.
This training was made possible with funding from the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development in Germany. As the letter of agreement between the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, and the Partnership Initiative for Sustainable Land Management, PISLM, comes to an end on June 30, 2023, PISLM has hosted a national consultation on June 28 under the ICA PISLM project, Sustainable Land Management in the Commonwealth of Dominica, focused on strengthening resilience of agricultural lands and forests of the island. The half-day consultation allowed ICA to present the outcomes of the components that the Institute has delivered. National Project Coordinator Mr. Yuan James represented the PISLM at the consultation. The Sustainable Land Management Project addressed the vulnerabilities of farmers in Dominica.
We are here today to validate outputs from important projects that have been executed by the PISLM. We take pride at the office in ensuring that the people of Dominica, especially our farmers, can benefit wholesomely from these projects.
The Sustainable Land Management Project is implemented by United Nations Environmental Program and funded by the Global Environment Facility. Mr. James says they are currently undergoing the SLM approaches to the farms.
ICA has done well thus far in ensuring that the farmers have benefited via training, via providing information, manuals. Right now, we are in the process of executing SLM approaches on farms. We are doing storm drains, counter drains, vective strips, and other such approaches to protect the farmlands, protect the soil, and ensure that we have a good farming future in this beautiful island.
Technical specialist of ICA, Mr. Kent Coppell, spoke of some of the advances made via the project.
A comprehensive assessment was done of the certification system. Following that, there was an assessment of the various farms, identifying the gaps, and the technical services was also provided to the farmers to really prioritize what are the critical things the farmers would need to meet with the various tier systems that would be offered under the farm certification. And we have Dr. Lloyd to thank for that. He was the one that led a team to do all the studies and be able to identify some of the immediate needs. Obviously, the project cannot meet all the needs of the farmers because the project has its own limitations, but it certainly provided a basis for us to determine what are some of the priorities that we need to focus on in ensuring the farmers can move one step forward.
He says 34 farmers received farm installations with the support of the project. Director of Agriculture, Mr. Ricky Brumand, says the outcomes of the Sustainable Land Management Project will be clear and long felt.
Of course, the outcomes from the project, although this is validation and introspection, but the outcomes from this project, I believe, will be clear. And the impacts, of course, will be long felt. The impacts for sustainability, the impacts of resilience, the impacts of life saving, though, and property saving, and of course livelihoods. This is what we really intend to do, and we will continue to preserve again our fauna, our flora, our water, and our soil.
The final of the annual DBS radio reading competition is scheduled to take place next week, Tuesday, under the theme Reading and Culture. This is the first competition since 2019, as the 2021 and 2022 editions were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Coordinator of the DBS radio reading competition, Mrs. Kashina Joseph, says 10 students will be participating in this year's final.
We have 10 finalists who will read for us, and they are Abria Shillingford of the Bagatelle Primary, Camille Rose Esprit, Pioneer Prep, Jaquita Telemac, Wesley Primary, Katie Theodore, St. Martin's Primary, Kiran Landa Convent Prep, Kinaya Rivera of the St. John's Primary, Marie Jose Dubois, Penville Primary, Maisha Pengdeng, Jones Bopia Primary, Naraya Burnaby Roberts, Ebenezer SDA, and Omar Grell of the St. Mary's Primary School.
The finals will be slightly different from previous years, as the students will all read the same articles but will be unable to hear the other participants reading.
But the finals will follow the exact same format as the previous two rounds. We will have a narrative piece, a news item, and a sports item. However, what will be different is something that was introduced during the 2021 competition, where all the finalists will read the exact same pieces. So they will have the same narrative, the same news, and the same sports item. They will have silent headphones on, they will have some soothing instrumental music playing. They will not be able to hear the other participants read. So as customary, they will have the scripts a few minutes beforehand to get accustomed to it, to ask if they have any questions, if they are unsure of any words. The staff are there to help them along their way. But when we are in competition, they are unable to ask for any assistance. So 3 rounds, the exact same piece, and the judges will deliberate afterwards, and one will be named winner of the competition.
A special award will be given this year in honor of 13-year-old Cornelia Barry, the 2019 winner of the DBS radio reading competition. Barry died suddenly earlier this year. The award will be given during the award ceremony scheduled for Tuesday, July 11.
One new thing that we are introducing this year, as we know, the 2019 winner of the reading competition, she passed suddenly last month. So in order to keep her memory alive, the committee has decided, in fact, to award a special award during our prize giving ceremony. So everyone will have to tune in to our award ceremony on the 11th of July to find out exactly in what way we are honoring the late Cornelia Barry.
The competition will also pay homage to the late Alwyn Bully, fitting in with the theme Reading and Culture.
This year we are reading under the theme Reading and Culture, as we pay homage to the late Dr. Alwyn Bully, a cultural icon in Dominica. So at the finals we'll have a performance from his daughter Shade, and as well his sister Barbara Bully will present something to at the finals, as we relax and we await the competition to begin.
Miss Joseph commended all the students who participated in this year's competition.
With the exception of about 1 or 2 schools, all of the primary schools on island did in fact participate in this year's competition, making it really tight. When it came to the semi-final round, we had intended to take the top 20, but because the scores were so close and we had a number of ties, we were forced to have 30 in our semi-final round, and that round as well proved to be extremely difficult. At the end, we have 10 students. A lot of them, we know that some of the students were disappointed that they did not make the finals, but like I said, we are very proud of them. They read exceptionally well. That does not mean that they are not great readers, because this year we had a really, really good crop of students reading.
The finals will be held at the Layu Resource Center on Tuesday, July 4 from 2 p.m. The Caribbean community, CARICOM, is to observe 50 years of existence in July. This as Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit assumes the chairmanship of the regional grouping. Daryl Titt reports.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit is to take over the chairmanship of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, as the regional grouping celebrates its 50th anniversary on July 4. The Prime Minister's tenure as chairman will run for a 6-month period from July 1 to December 31, 2023, and comes at a critical juncture in the lifespan of CARICOM. Prime Minister Skerrit will have a packed agenda during his time as chairman, with the situation in Haiti being a top priority.
Clearly, we have to find a resolution so that Haiti can be restored to a more functioning state with access to education, healthcare, government services, and people can go about their lives as the rest of us are currently doing.
CARICOM leaders met in Trinidad and Tobago earlier this year for a symposium on crime and violence as a public health issue. Prime Minister Skerritt will seek to implement certain decisions and recommendations agreed to at the symposium.
CARICOM at that symposium identified certain actions that we need to take and to seek to minimize, if not eliminate, the presence of crime and violence in our region. So it's important for us to turn those words into action. And I'm hoping that during that time, we can seek to implement some of those actions so that we can see a reduction in the prevalence of crime and violence in our region.
CARICOM will also engage its international partners with a number of meetings scheduled over the next 6 months.
There will be an engagement with Mexico, hopefully, CARICOM Mexico Summit. There'll also be an engagement with Canada, the Canada CARICOM Summit. We have COP28 and our continued fight to get the developed world to be more sensitive with the commitment, with what you confront in terms of the climate impacts, and also to deliver on the promises that they've made. And no doubt we expect CARICOM to continue making a very strong showing, a strong presence, and having our voices heard in a coordinated, singular manner on the issue of climate change.
Prime Minister Skerritt will also focus on the free movement of people within CARICOM member states.
This idea of categorizations should be eliminated. I mean, when we had Cricket World Cup some years ago, I mean, all you needed was a wristband to move from one country to the other. And 50 years as an integration movement, you know, people must feel that they're part of the community. If it's a community, why are there so many restrictions, you know, in movement?
With the free movement of people, the question of regional air travel now moves to the forefront.
How do we get people from one island to the other? I mean, this is a very challenging situation for all of us in the Caribbean since the demise of LIAT. And how do we fill the gap that the absence of LIAT has created?
The 50th anniversary of CARICOM is a significant milestone and a time for celebration and reflection.
50 years is a time for reflection. It is a time to determine what are you going to be doing for the next 50 years, what do you want to achieve for the next 50 years, and so forth. And so it will be a time of celebration, yes, but very important time for reflections.
And if the regional grouping is to last another 50 years and more, the people, in particular the youth, must take ownership of the organization.
I could see greater use of technology, and I think that's where young people would come in with their tech-savvy characteristics to really use technology to create jobs and better opportunities for young people within the Caribbean community. But I think, all things considered, you know, we have achieved a lot.
The 45th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM runs from the 3rd to the 5th of July in Port of Spain, Trinidad.
Thank you, Daryl, for that report. You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Earthquakes can happen at any time. Know what to do to protect yourself.
The most important thing to do during an earthquake is to stay calm. At the first sign of the earth shaking, if you are in a building, stay inside and away from windows and glass doors.
Drop, cover, and hold on. Drop under a heavy desk or table. Cover your head and torso, and hold on to the furniture.
If you can't get under something strong, cover your face and head with your arms and crouch in an inside corner of the building.
Do not rush for exits. Do not use elevators. A message from the Office of Disaster Management and the partnership between UNDP, CDMA, OCHA, IFRC, and funded by European Union Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid. Prepare Caribbean.
Welcome back. Minister for the Environment, Honorable Kozia Frederick, has announced government's plans to create a Department of Environment. This is in keeping with Dominica's policy on becoming the first climate-resilient country in the world. Minister Frederick says the creation of the Department of Environment is a key legislative step in the goal of climate resilience.
The establishment of a Department of Environment comes from the construction of an environment bill that speaks to having an agency that is dedicated specifically to environmental issues. So that department will focus on all of the international conventions that we are party to, the Paris Agreement, and all of the UNFCCC, the UNCCD, all of these conventions that we assign to and we consider to be part of an important cause to become the first climate resilient country. We have done a significant amount of work in the legislation itself, and the bill proposes a number of key areas like mining and natural resource management. We're speaking of disaster preparedness. We're also speaking about the fundamental aspect of having a department itself.
The minister says that quite a bit of work has been done towards the creation of the department.
We are on the final stages of the bill, and once the bill goes through the process at Parliament, we're able by law to establish a department. And what that will do, it will garner all of the resources required for proper environmental management. It will also provide the technical skills and the human capacity for developing at the local level the relevant skills for ensuring that all of the environmental aspects are dealt with. And so we're excited about this. It's been long and tough work to do that, to ensure that we have something that deals with environmental issues across the board. And so it will follow the structures of the department, with a director, with all of the relevant agencies. There'll be a legal component in there, because some of the issues that affect us have legal implications. And there'll also be a finance part of it, because we can also raise money. We can look at partners who are able to assist us. So it's a wholesome project, and it's one we are really at the ministry hoping that it will come through and that we can have all our issues dealt with in a sort of local palace, a one-stop shop.
Motorists and road users along the Eo-Libla Highway, particularly in an area called Monscope at the southern entrance of Maho, are being urged to exercise caution when traversing the area. This as emergency works are ongoing to return that section of road to full functionality. The emergency works became necessary as recent heavy rains further caused damage to the already compromised area, resulting in the failure of the existing retaining wall. The Monscope area is a critical pass along the Eo-Libla Highway, and the failure of the retaining wall caused a significant narrowing of the roadway. A contractor has been engaged to carry out the work, and a multi-tier retaining wall is being constructed to address the situation. Minister for Public Works Honorable Fidel Grant and Parliamentary Representative for Maho Honorable Kasani Laville visited the area over the weekend to assess the situation. The government of Dominica is committed in ensuring that motorists have safe roadways in order to move freely across the island. A few weeks after Kavem Hodge and Alec Athanase made their debut for the West Indies in one-day international cricket, the government of Dominica has appointed them as sports ambassadors for the country. Daryl Tidd has more in this report.
The third match of the West Indies tour of the United Arab Emirates in June 2023 marked a significant milestone in the cricketing careers of two young Dominicans. This as Dominicans Alec Athanase and Kavem Hodge took to the field for the West Indies team, the first time that two Dominican nationals were part of the West Indies playing 11 at the same time. Kavem had made his debut earlier in the three-match series, while Alec was playing in his first international game. The hearts of a cricket-loving nation were filled with joy and with expectations high ahead of the Indian tour of the region next month. Dominicans are looking forward to more great things from these two young men. The government of Dominica has recognized the contributions and potential of the two young men and have appointed them sports ambassadors for the country.
These are two young men who are now in their prime and who are making us proud with their selection on the West Indies cricket team, and who we believe have a very bright future. And I believe it is absolutely important that we as a country provide them with the support, the requisite support that they need in order to keep them balanced and focused on the game of cricket and harnessing their talent, and so that they can be entrenched on the team, on the West Indies cricket team.
It is hoped that the success of Alec and Kavem will serve as inspiration to young sportsmen and women.
We would also want them to serve as motivators to other aspiring sportsmen and sportswomen, boys and girls in the primary and secondary schools and colleges of Dominica. And so we're very proud of them as a government, and we'd like to let them know in a very clear and distinct manner that we are with them and we are there to support them and to encourage them.
The appointment as sports ambassadors comes with certain perks.
They will be issued today, Tuesday, the 27th of June, with diplomatic passports to facilitate their travels through the various ports of entry across the world. And they will also be provided with an allowance, a monthly allowance, for their local upkeep.
The West Indies will play India in a test match beginning July 12 at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium.
We're looking forward to, if not both, at least one being selected for the India versus the West Indies test match in Dominica in July. We are very confident that both, certainly one, will be selected to play in Dominica, and I think we're all looking for this. Not only Dominica's looking forward for this, but West Indies supporters, especially with the recent performances of the West Indies cricket team, and people recognizing that these two young men have tremendous talent, and there's no reason why they ought not to be on the team. I think certainly they'll be selected for the test match, India versus the West Indies.
Both Kavem and Alec are thankful for the support of the government of Dominica and the Dominican public.
I was very happy with the way that myself and Alec was able to represent Dominica. You know, we're a proud country. I mean, it's only, 80,000 people here, but, you know, we enjoy sports. We love sports. And everybody, you know, we're a community of sporting individuals. So to see the well wishes and the support that we got from everybody during and even after the series, it was amazing. It was very heartwarming, you know, the comments and, you know, the shares and the posts and everything that everybody was sending us. You know, it was really heartwarming. And I'm just happy that I was able to, you know, represent my country in the way that I did, and, you know, we're happy with the way that things went.
I would count myself fortunate, very fortunate, because not many have done it. But it's obviously a good feeling to know that your people are behind you, no matter what you do, no matter if you perform, you know, especially if you perform. So it was a very good feeling knowing that I have the backing of Dominica.
Thank you, Daryl, for that report. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Adicia Burton. Thanks for watching.